South Africa potentially looking at a bloody street circuit in Cape Town, which I don't know if you saw the draft of it, looks exactly like the Miami Grand Prix. It's around the
No.
car park of a football stadium. Stupid idea when they have Kailami, which is a spectacular.
Kielame, come on.
Kailami is a spectacular
Stupid.
circuit, and how you like. I don't want to get too much into that, but Stefano Domenicali came out the other day and all the talk around the Mad Ring, which I don't know. Did you see the sim lap of that? The new circuit, the new street circuit in Madrid,
Yep.
looks
Mm.
utter crap. It looks
Yep.
like it looks like Miami and Valencia had a baby.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it looks absolutely awful. Um,
Did you
who else?
notice? Did you notice whoever it was that was driving that sim
Yeah,
for that race
couldn't
actually
drive.
got it wrong? I
Yeah,
never
they
hitting the
made a
water.
mistake. Yeah,
It was a mess. I was like,
I
who's driving that? I could do a better job.
I couldn't quite believe that they uploaded that version. I was like, have another lap, go
Ma- ma-
again.
ma- Maybe that was the best one.
Yeah, the front it might have been,
That
which is not a good sign for that track.
no.
But Stefano, so obviously from Madrid will come in next year, and then from 27, that'll be the only Spanish Grand Prix to get rid of Catalonia, which is a shame. And Stefano Domenicali came out and said, really poor timing. Oh, we just can't justify having two races in the same country as we go to the first of three in America.
But America is huge.
America is
America is huge.
Yeah.
absolutely massive. That's true. And, each state is its own country effectively, but they are still one country. It's just,
Mm.
it was a bit of a tone deaf timing comment on that one.
Yeah, but I agree with the whole, South Africa thing. I really think South Africa need a race, but why use somewhere other than Kialami? Put the
Yeah.
money, invest in that, and get it up to kind of the standards required, and you'd have an absolutely fantastic Grand Prix.
That's the point as well, isn't it? Like the talk around why not Kyalami is, oh, it'd be too expensive to. Well, it's already an FIA Grade One, if I'm not wrong. But
I think it was just outside of
it
Grade
was
One.
just
Actually, I think
outside
that
it, so
that
they
that was the reason. Yeah.
they need to up it a little bit, and they probably need a new pit lane in it as well. But surely
Mm.
that for a permanent circuit to last for 50 years is so much more cost effective than building and tearing down a bloody street circuit every single year. I don't understand the decision there. This is just this should be the highlight of Mohammed Ben Sulayem's tenure. And one more piece of news: potential candidates to run against him have been coming forward over the past couple of weeks.
Ooh.
Let's
And
all
now they're going to
cross.
get beheaded or
Yeah, they
something.
probably will. Yeah, let's all just cross every single thing we can cross that somebody other than Ben Sulayem is leading the FIA next season, because it's not just Formula One that is starting to suffer under him.
No, absolutely not.
Before we move on, in November last year, Kyle Lamy got his Grade One license from the FIA.
There we go. There's
Oh,
no
there you go.
reason. There's
So
no
it's
reason to not
already there.
race in Kyalami.
Yep, literally
Okay,
no reason.
I must have missed that bit of news because I knew it wasn't before that. But fair enough. That's yeah, there's absolutely no reason not to go there then. What's your opinions on Ben Sulayem, Jamie Cooper?
If I say anything, I'll get fined. Uh,
Remember, we're live on YouTube.
yeah, I can't say that stuff. Ben Sulayem, right? The problem we have is that the head of the FIA, the president of the FIA, whatever he's called, can't remember the actual title. Um, he should be like a really good referee, but you don't really notice him. Like
Mm,
when did we really notice Jean Todt? He was there. We knew who he was. We knew he was the head of the FIA. He came out when he needed to come out. Uh, but he kind of let everyone do what needed to be done. He
mhm.
just, I mean, he must be a particularly smart man to be in the roles he's in, and he's a racing driver. Admittedly, it's rallying that he made his career in. But almost the minute he got the job, he just started picking battles that just seemed
Mhm.
stupid. Whether it
Mm,
be underwear, jewellery, swearing, the whole issue about race directors. Like one race director didn't even get to take the job because she was critical. They were critical, sorry, of Ben Sulayem and the management. You had situations where the head of UK Motorsport was banned from a meeting because he refused to sign a non-disclosure agreement because basically he's saying, look, what you are doing is circumventing democracy within the organisation. You're not being transparent, even though you said you would. Or sign this non-disclosure agreement. No. Oh, well, you're not getting in the meeting. Okay. It's just stupidly bizarre. And then the point as well, like the people that are wanting to stand against him, because it's for anyone who doesn't know, the presidency runs on a 4-year term, like political presidents as well and things. Uh, they hadn't been putting themselves above the parapet for fear of some sort of recrimination from Ben Sulayem and the people that are kind of loyal to him. That should strike you as an issue.
Mm.
If people in a democratic kind of setting don't want to say anything too early for fear of issues which force them out of the organisation. And is it the deputy president? I think it was one of the just recently.
Just stepped down.
He just stepped down again because he didn't like the fact that the organisation was going down a route that wasn't transparent and democratic. I'm paraphrasing, but it's genuinely that's what it is. There's no
Yeah.
smoke without fire, and I mean even seeing Ben Sulayem at tracks and tried to shake hands or hug Lewis Hamilton, who just completely breezed past him and walked on. The body language of Max Verstappen was talking to him looked a bit off. He's at the minute, it's just a person who, if he's doing it, if he doesn't realise it, he needs to really soon because it looks like he's doing things for himself and not for the good of the motorsport that he's supposed to be
Oh,
there
he
to govern and
absolutely is
champion.
doing everything for himself. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. He is. He's
He's
changed rules. He's changed the voting process. He's changed things. They have to keep everything secret, like you said earlier. It's not the transparency that he's promising. It's not the transparency he's asking from F1. It's just diabolical what he's doing to
And
the
and
company at the
interestingly,
moment.
before we move on, apparently the rules around the swearing are being looked at because
changed, yeah.
yeah, so I can't remember what it is, but they slotted that in. Everyone went, "What is it you're talking about?" There was a nice wee joke with Gordon Ramsay at the launch thing about
Mm.
him swearing and stuff, which was hilarious. And then apparently they're looking to tweak it. It's a rule that should never be in there in the first place. And again, a lot of what Ben Sulayem is doing at the minute is just a kind of look at me, I'm the president, I'll do what I want, I don't care.
Mm.
That's just not going to work. It's not
That's a
sustainable.
dictatorship. You're not a democracy, and it's supposed to be
He's
a
setting
democracy.
himself up to be as different to the last two presidents as he possibly could. As you said, John Todd, the cuddly teddy bear of the Formula One paddock.
Mm.
Did anybody even realize he was president from 2009? Because I didn't until I just looked it up. He was president forever and did, let's be honest, feck all of. He didn't do anything controversial in all of that time.
Yeah,
He was preceded by Max Mosley, who is
who
the
had it for
polar, who was there forever as well since the 80s,
yeah.
but was the polar bloody
Mm.
opposite of Ben Sulayem, who is infinitely more conservative by comparison, just as a person. And like on paper, there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of what he's trying to do in terms of like, I suppose, trim down and straighten the arrow, I suppose, on how stuff like this is run. I mean, the swearing thing is a bit stupid. I don't necessarily disagree with it in like a press and public facing point of view. If you're talking to the press, don't swear at the press.
Mm.
That's sort of just sports person 101. The argument has always been, oh, if you mic'd up a football player, you'd hear what they say, and yeah, you would, but they never swear in front of the press. So, the fact of being, given out to on their team radios, that part is ridiculous. So there's certain things that, the core idea that he's bringing to the fore is not a stupidly bad idea. It's how he implements it and how he gets almost personally offended and attacked, almost like another conservative world leader who doesn't like to be questioned or have anyone think he's anything other than a mega genius. Um, Paul,
Now, let's not get too political.
I'm not getting political at all. But it's not a good. He just seems like he's personally offended by anything that goes against his fairly conservative views on absolutely everything, and that's all well and good in business. The FIA is not a business, and it should not be run like a conservative business. It's a sporting organization that manages the biggest motor sporting series in the entire world, and even if he was the head of F1 and he was trying to like toe the line of like the head of Formula One management and he was trying to like reduce swearing and stuff like that from a business point of view because sponsors have been pulling out, that's different. FOM is a business. Formula One is a business. The FIA is not. And he's running it like a super conservative business, and it's just not working. And all of the not super conservative businesses who report to him have had enough of it. At the World Rally Championship, they all protested against the swearing fine. Adrian Formo received a 10 grand fine for swearing in an interview. And okay, again, he swore in an interview. So that I actually don't disagree with it. Don't be swearing in interviews on the press because they either have to throw the interview away, in which case, you didn't have to do your press stuff in the first place. It's completely pointless. And if it's live, then there are kids watching. The radio messages, the team radios are pre-recorded and can be bleeped out. It's different. But the World Rally Championship, World Drivers Alliance, did a protest by refusing to speak in interviews or only speak in their mother tongue. Could you imagine if Formula One drivers did that? I'm surprised they didn't.
Mm.
But I suppose the problem is most of them speak English perfectly. And it wouldn't make all that much difference if they all came out and started just speaking in their mother tongue because there's such a massive international paddock, and there's people
Yeah.
from all over the world. You'd still have Max Verstappen swearing in Dutch to Dutch TV, and he'd still get a
Yeah.
fine for it. But yeah, I hope he gets voted out this year. He needs to. It's his reign has not been short enough.
I
Yeah,
do,
no,
I
it's
do, I
very
do think,
controversial.
yeah, I do think that, when you go and do something like what Ben Sulayem's doing and the way that you're ruffling up feathers, and I mean, this goes way back at the start when he was actually having conversations about Formula One being sold to Saudi Arabia and things like that, and investment funds and things, and the commercial arm of F1 had to go, "Oi, mate, know your role,
Yeah,
Mm.
shut
nothing to
it,
do with you.
aye, that's past your remit." And even with the whole Andretti Cadillac thing coming in, he kind of went a wee bit above Formula One's commercial side, and they
He
had to
approved them and
again.
then shouted and screamed, "Cadillac are coming into Formula One," and Formula One are like, no, they're not. Relax.
Huh?
Mm.
Not
Chill.
your decision, mate.
There was a lot of other things. I thought it was one of those kind of passive aggressive, I hope that Formula One do the right thing or, whatever it is.
Mm.
And it's just like, you need to, the position he's in isn't what he thinks it is.
Hmm.
And he's tried to make it what he thinks it is. And when you're behaving the way you're behaving, you make more, if the same amount of enemies as allies, if not more, to
Mm.
the point where you're going to have these people all plotting against you. You just can't, it's just inevitable. Even if
Yeah.
you ran it perfectly fine, you know, nobody really knows who he is. Like the FIA president, it would be one of those ones, unless you're like us, who you do it because we've got a reason to know, you would be a bit, who is that again? Like Sean just had to do with the one that was, before Max Mosley. You're like, who was it again?
Hmm.
Oh, it was him, the guy that cost Ayrton Senna his championship in Suzuka. Uh, but he wants to be the man. He wants to be the face, and you're like, there's ways of doing that, and that's not how you do it. So he's going to be. I would like as everyone else probably agrees, a one-term president, and that doesn't happen. Jean Todt, I think, ended up doing three. I think it was by the time he finished up in 2021. I think he was 2021, 2017, and then 4 years, 2013, if my math is right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
well, Ben Sulayem has had so many staff come in and go out. There's got to be some of those that are going to be interested in kind of taking his place and putting themselves up for a position. Especially the deputy one that you just mentioned, that quit quite recently. I think that was a ploy to kind of get his name into the hat as well. So, he'll say, "Look, I don't like the fact that it's been not being transparent. People don't know what the FIA are up to." I think he'd be an ideal candidate for the position, if I'm honest. I think that was a bit of a play from him at this time to get his campaign together, as it were. But yeah, Ben Sulayem, I think there'll be a many happy face the day he departs the FIA, especially the presidency position anyway.
The alleged
Are there any other news articles that you want to keep? Oh, sorry, carry on.
the alleged person who's going to run against him, allegedly. There were talks about Susie Wolf, but she can't while Toto is still involved with Mercedes because of total conflict of interest.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
Motorsport UK chair David Richards um, has been touted as potentially running against him. He used to work for BAR Honda back in the day.
Mhm.
Right.
He has been touted. Ralph Schumacher, who famously just loves to drum up stories. Although I'm not saying this is official. This is just what I've read, but I have read it now in a couple of different places. But Ralph Schumacher is by no means a reliable source.
No.
But he did say that were he to run, David Richards would at least be a very popular candidate among the people who will be voting for him. So there's that. Although I would love to see Susie Wolf head up the FIA. I think that'd be incredible, but I can't see Toto giving up. She probably wouldn't be allowed to while Toto owns Mercedes, let alone is
Oh
his
yeah.
team principal. But anyway, there you go. That's just the shit. Luca de Montezemolo was snapped recently for the first time in like a decade. He's
Yeah.
still alive. He still exists. He could be an interesting one as well. Again, former head of Ferrari and Lamborghini, if
Just
I'm
like
not wrong,
Jean Todt.
just
Yeah.
like Jean Todt.
Yeah. Mm.
So that could be a shout as well. But I think part of the reason that John Todd was not always the most popular person because of his Ferrari connections.
Mm.
So
I get
I
that.
don't know if that would happen again.
That's just people doing the clickbaity let's drum up stories sort of thing when it came to John Todd and the Ferrari
Yeah,
stuff.
possibly.
You know,
But
it's
Luca de Montezemolo could be an option as well. Again, I think he'd be a good option, but someone who has actually worked in Formula One, which Ben Sulayem
Mm.
has not. So
and I think that as well that the role as the FIA president, as I said, probably should be quite autonomous. So these people like Luca de Montezemolo, who has been out of the public eye, would maybe look at that job and think, actually, I mean, literally, he walks down a few of the he walks down a few pit lanes. He's there for a few races, but he doesn't need
Mm.
to be there like Ben
all the
Sulayem
time.
wants to be. Even if he's there, he's just there. If you know what I mean, he doesn't have to be
Yeah.
this like shouting his mouth off, doing the
Central
tweeting.
figure.
Mm.
Yeah, he's the president of the FIA. He'll come out and do wee things. He can hire in a lot of people that could do other things for him, and when he needs to do things and do things, he'll
So
do them.
I think
But
De Montezemolo and David Richards could fit that for the exact same reason, both of them.
yeah.
Mm.
But anyway, that's probably enough about the FIA. But fingers crossed. I believe that election is in October.
Yeah. So a little way to go yet, and there might be more people that obviously put themselves forward. Well, ready for Mohammed Ben Sulayem to try and chop their heads off before it actually happens to continue his dictatorship reign.